All right, this one is called The Asphyxiation of God from 4/7/2011. Oof. Conflict begins in various ways: a word, a phrase, a gesture, a battle cry, a shove, a punch, a kick, a weapon, a man, a woman. But let us go back to how any of us knew what this shit meant. Before any of us existed, when humans didn't exist, when mammals were not formed into being, when law and order had not been created, when religion was never known, to a time when no other universes existed, before that was even possible, when there was nothing but black. Silence is what exists now. Then there was a light, and in this light, dark became the enemy, one trying to eclipse the other. Then the cosmos were born, giving birth to new planets and life forms, not even registered to our consciousness. Ouch. Mammals were born into life of all shapes, sizes, colors, and species. Atoms and molecules created deadly and helpful gases. Troglodytes were born with very limited intelligence, using rocks and spears to hunt. Dinosaurs roamed the landscape, becoming both predator and prey, for both had to eat and survive on this chaotic plane. The troglodytes evolved bit by bit, forming their own language, learning how to reproduce and bring forward more hunters on the hunt, adapting to their new environment. Knowing to bundle up with animal skins during the Arctic season, making home in caves of rock and huts of mud, stick, and straw. And as simple as their simple OCD way of life continued, it would soon be wiped out. The dreaded unforeseen comet hurtled towards them, obliterating all trace of their existence. Then the cosmos turned out something new, male and female. Adam and Eve were birthed in the Garden of Eden, both unsure of each other and not knowing the full extent of their purpose. But it would be Satan himself that would cast the die in this decadent battle. With Eve eating the forbidden fruit, he taught the first form of conflict, deceit. And like a thunderclap across the universe wide, mistrust was born. The battle for heaven spilled onto earth, from angels seducing and bedding women, spawning the legendary Nephilim, which wreaked havoc upon the lands. And God reached out to Noah, whom he had built his infamous ark. And God flooded the earth, cleansing it of evil, and at the same time he committed one of the deadly sins, wrath. Then came Moses later in life, and God bestowed upon him the 10 Commandments for all to follow. And throughout the BC era, the commandments were followed and broken. When broken, the punishment was stoning. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone, was the call of the sinner who was surrounded in the town square. See the stone hurl end over end towards the man, scoring a mini goose egg on his forehead. And then the next stone is cast tumbling lazily into the back, bruising and bleeding the cloth. By the end of the stoning, he lies there, bloodied, beaten, scarred, skin decorated in hues of purple, black, blue. Raising a shaky hand, begging for mercy, a man towers over him, holding a cinder block. Please, no more. A dark chuckle, a roar of domination sounds, bones impact shattering. Blood and brain ooze and squish their way to freedom on the sands. When Christ was crucified, it was the turning point in conflict. They punctured his head with a crown of thorns, nailed his wrists to a cross. Not his hands, because if you do his hands, he's going to fall the fuck off. You do through the wrist, they stay put. History. Spit on him, lacerated his back with whip markings, took sledgehammers to his legs, vilifying the bones to pieces so he could not move. Bolted his legs down with spikes penetrating the flesh. And the final blow came with the spear, and his last words before death were, "Forgive them, Father, for they know no sin." With men, women, and children slaughtered for being Jewish, no one fully recovered after the genocide. The civilizations died out from warfare and bloodshed. Conflict back then was child's play compared to what was coming. Oof. As the years came and went, lives were sacrificed in vain in martyrdom. Warfare in the early years was fought by steel blade and wooden shield, leaving wicked sliced marks across the enemy's canvas. Sword went from single-edged to double-edged, curved to jagged and serrated. Axes chopped limbs clean off, although you have to hack at the bone too. Maces cratered heads of the innocent, leaving them at a half-moon shape. When ground to ground wasn't enough to hold the enemy at bay, both sides built forts, castles, and keeps. The tops lined with archers, casting wooden arrows of death and mayhem down, stopping the advancement of any marching force. Catapults launched boulders and flaming mortars, devastating the masses, ensuring a swift victory. Horseback riders with javelins and lancers rode into the battlefield, spearing and slaying the heretics. Banners of fierce creatures the cross in various colors, the skull and crossbones were carried in the conflict proudly. Poison became the way to secretly and sneakily off the serpent's head. Then came the era of gunpowder. Boom! Scared you, didn't I? Was the sound of cannon fire on the land, blowing away every platoon emplacement. Splintering makeshift forts of tree and twine. Crack! Was the sound of naval battleships taking direct hits to port and starboard. When forts and castles on land weren't enough, either side took to the unconquered realm of water. Vast and majestic, full of wondrous aquatic marine life, beautiful and deadly. In the early days of gunpowder, its enemy wasn't the user, it was Mother Nature herself. For when she wept, no side could engage other by gunfire, so they turned to primal means. Rifles swung and brandished as legendary katanas. Faces cringed in the masks of determination, courage, anger, and fear. Almost mirrored reflections of ceremonial gods past known. Fists connecting, breaking jaws, and bruising eyes. Boot heels implanted into solar plexus, drawing precious oxygen from their lungs. But in conflict, the enemy isn't always in front of you. Jungle rot and gangrene became the foot soldiers in the epidemics during the early years of war. Dysentery, typhoid, measles, tuberculosis, and shell shock claimed more lives when in today's modern medicine, a simple pill could cure you within hours. Whiskey, plants, and berries were all that was reliable in these painstaking times. Conflict didn't just station in one area, it grew to other continents, causing more war and body counts to rise. Oh, that felt good. As the war escalated, so did the supply and demand for weapons manufacturing. Factories were built across the globe to meet the needs of those who demanded more. Flintlocks and rifles soon became a thing of the past, as the carbine, repeater, and pistol were born, pioneering their fathers like Samuel Colt. As the 1800s came to a close in 1903, the world would see something not thought of at all. The Wright brothers flew at Kitty Hawk for the first time in history, and the world was in awe of this magnificent achievement. But while the world was in awe, little did the brothers know that their simple design would lead to yet another battlefield not conquered: the skies. When aircraft was first developed, it was no more than wood and metal, very nimble and sturdy. But then, as the years progressed, the brothers would see their dream raped by the minds of scientific engineering. Machine gun turrets attached to the front and rear for maximum damage output really didn't work as well as they hoped. Missiles and torpedoes were replacing gun emplacements, providing devastating results in air warfare. Tanks, heavily armored, replaced the modern combat vehicle in ground warfare, which were able to go where smaller vehicles could not, penetrating the various hymens around the mother's beautiful earth, tearing them open, leaving death and destruction in their wake. As wars escalated into prison camps, a new form of conflict rose from the ashes of blood and smoke: speech. Word of mouth turned out to be the most vicious means to getting fear across, and radio would serve this purpose well. Verbal rapists were born in this era of radio. Sure, the uniforms changed, but the mission is the same: victory at any cost. Dictators pledged no prisoners on their enemies. Presidents promised a swift victory against all foreign forces. Generals preached memorable epic speeches to instill and inspire hope within his command, or their command, I should say. Soldiers on both sides quaked, quivered, and stood tall against the insurmountable odds stacked before them. Women and children feared of never seeing their husbands and fathers returning from the war. Aircraft became more sophisticated, carrying troops, weapons, and vehicles. The bomb was invented and dropped on the Japanese after the massacre of Pearl Harbor. This singular move showed the true meaning of zero tolerance, but conflict wasn't always fought by the gun, blade, land, sea, and air. Color became the newest weapon of choice in war. Fuck you, nigger. Kill the white man. We're gonna hang us some Negroes today. Get over here, boy. Time for a whipping. White power, black power. Signs reading "No colors allowed" provided the white people were supreme in everything. But yet, black men and women are responsible for what's in today's world. It's true. A lot of fucking black people created some of the most sophisticated tech and other inventions as well. It's true. Martin Luther King Jr. fought for black kids to be in the same schools as whites and for equality among races. Today, that dream has come true, slightly. The shining black manhood known as Malcolm X fought for the rights of Afro Americans and died for it. Today, all Afro Americans have remembered the reason why they have the right to do as they please. Rosa Parks, JFK, Ronald Reagan, and Roosevelt, all influential in their own manner, making changes for good and worse. Conflict arose through the decades of the 1900s, with social trends and forms of dress, styles of hair and manner of decor, choice of music and way of dance. Way of speech and thought changed over and over. The war itself always changed, evolving time and time again. And now the new enemy was homosexuality around the world. Men lynched for being gay. Women crucified for laying with another woman. Beaten, tortured, sodomized, and raped in the armed forces in an attempt to fix them. And what of the future unknown? Aliens on planetary conquest to dominate what isn't theirs. Cybernetic beings promising to help while behind our backs enslaving us for their entertainment. Look at your phone. Mythical beasts and gods return to rightfully claim what was once theirs. Bedlam and chaos ensue. Death tolls rise into the heavens. Weapons lie scattered on the battlefield, painted with every shade of colored skin, blood, gore, and entrails. And there's nothing but black. So you see, conflict is all around us. This is our struggle within. You, me, them, him, her, us, everyone. It's not about the color, religion, sexual preference, or species. The fact remains. All of us are born with the urge to conflict. Yeah. I forgot I wrote this damn thing. It's wild because I always go deep when I write a piece. And if it's a contest prompt, like I mentioned before, I really go all out. And I think this one was a contest prompt. I think I got a silver for it. Whew. But yeah, crazy shit. So, that's what I got for poems. I'm gonna do some books and a movie. I have a double feature to run off, so stay tuned.